Hi, Spectre! Thanks for stopping by. It is Ginger After Dark. How did your day go? Whoops. Ooh, nice. I love it when the farmer's market is open during a time that I can go. Most of the farmer's market in this town is only open on Thursdays during the week. Or during like the workday, so can't exactly go. Which sucks. But that's okay. But yeah, chill day sounds pretty nice. I've had an okay day so far. Is this the right? This is not the right size. Stream fell apart a little bit. This is. It's slowly losing more and more clothes. Eventually it'll just be stickers. No, that's not true. 40, 30, 20. Okay, yeah, well, okay. Sorry, talking to myself, trying to remember what size brush I was at on this last time. But yeah, stream this morning did not start off super easy. Just been a bit of a hectic day, I think. Art's actually taking a nap right now. He's like, wake me up for your stream, and I tried, and he is definitely still asleep. So sorry if you wanted to hang out with him right now. Actually, yeah, that's fair. I don't know why, it just seems like it's been that kind of a day, I think. Everyone, maybe it's because it's getting closer to the holidays. Everyone's just a little extra busy. Everything's not running properly. He's been staying up later working on that Arc server with his friend to set up for streaming. So he's a little bit more tired than usual the past few days, and he had to do a little bit of heavy lifting this morning too. So he's been going to bed later, but his body still wakes him up super early in the morning. Yeah, that's a bit of why. Plus the cold weather is always a little harder on him. He's got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so they're gonna double check everything, make sure he's okay, see what needs to be done, and then he is getting tested for sleep apnea. No, he's not sleeping 12 hours a day. He's sleeping, I think he tries to get about 8 hours of sleep a night. He usually averages maybe 6.5 to 7, which is pretty good. It used to be like 5 to 6 at night, and then he'd take a 4-hour nap. He hasn't been napping as much lately, which is really good. I am. Might get his tires rotated too. Gotta make sure that he's all ready for winter. because it's gonna be a cold one. Oh, no, Spectre. I mean, some people can do that. I had a roommate in college where she was an insomniac, and she also just happened to be really lucky and be one of those people who could just run on like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. I was gonna get him some snow chains for the tires, that way I don't have to, you know, I just changed the tires on him. So, snow chains. I need 10 hours of sleep to function like a normal human being. It sounds awful, but if I have no source of caffeine, I need 10 hours, and then I'm technically like rested enough to function. I will sleep for 12 to 14 hours if just left alone to sleep as long as I want. I actually haven't had any caffeine in the past few days, and I'm dying a little bit. Oh, I need an alarm. I need 5 alarms. I set 5 alarms, and I wake up for like 3 of them, and Art wakes up for all of them, and he hates it. So what he used to do on his phone before we lived together, if you wanted to turn off the alarm, he set it so you'd have to like solve a short puzzle, right? I do that too sometimes because I have slept through my alarms. I've also turned off my alarms in my sleep. I'm one of those fun people who will sleepwalk with their eyes open. So I'll turn off my alarm or I'll snooze it. So I also have to put my phone that I use for my alarm as far away from me as possible so that I have to like physically get up and turn it off, which I don't always do. But Art used to set his alarm so that if you wanted to turn it off, you had to solve like a short puzzle. And it was usually like, add these 3 numbers together or arrange these 9 numbers from like highest to lowest in order, right? Like, kind of basic, easy stuff that a 4th grader could do. Well, Art set his alarm noise to be the most annoying, high-pitched, like techno trilling in the world. It's still his ringtone. It'll go off once and I'll just immediately become angry. It's just the noise that I hate. And that's what his alarm used to be as well. And he would not wake up to it, but I would wake up to it. I would wake up to it on the first fucking trill. And I would be too sleep deprived and tired, and his phone screen is as bright as the goddamn sun, so I wouldn't be able to like solve the puzzle. They would just be continuing to vibrate and chirp in my face, and I'd just woken up. So I would like basically just like angrily yell at Art to wake up to turn off his own alarm. Yes, I do kind of want one of those. It's got like wheels. It'll roll off the dresser, catch itself like on the floor, and then it will roll somewhere else in the room, and then it'll start going off even louder. And I do kind of want that, but I would also destroy it. I'm not a reasonable person right when I wake up, especially if I wake up and I have to immediately do something. I found out I can't see what that is. I think that's what happens when people try to post links in my chat. When I first see, I'll sleep through that. I will 100%. I can't sleep anywhere, but I can sleep in most environments. Like, as long as I can lay down, it doesn't matter if it's a bright room or if it's a loud room or if it's a crowded room, I can fall asleep. I once slept on a table for like a couple hours. So, yeah, I'll sleep through one of those brightening ones. Okay, so, but the little asterisk, I can't see links, and they don't show up in my chat because when I first started streaming, within the first couple of streams, I had some issues with trolls, and trolls trying to send me links and putting gross, okay. I will actually look at that. Gross links in the chat, so I turned off the ability to do that. And somebody also kind of tried to do that today. should be fine. Let me look in my... Did you send it to me on Twitch? Oh, the running alarm clock. Okay. Oh, you sent it to me on Discord. Okay, I'll look at it in a little bit then. But yeah. So in college, when I lived for my freshman year, this was my second semester of my freshman year, I had to move dorms, like in between the first and second semester. And it was so that I could be roommates with someone that I liked and wanted to be roommates with. It was complicated. Our housing situation was dumb because the school had more students than they expected. Anyway, so we finally get a dorm room together. And she's the one who was an insomniac. She was also such a light sleeper that like I could jingle the keys outside our door and she would wake up. So, so she would, she'd have a hard time staying asleep while I could sleep through anything. I sleep like the dead. And apparently there was some girl down the hall who had an alarm clock that was louder than my own, which was like super loud carnival music. But it would go off at like 10 a.m. because I had later classes that semester. So I was like, it's not a big deal, right? This girl's, hers would go off at 7 in the morning, right? And apparently she would just let it go while she was getting ready. So it would just keep going for like 15 or 20 minutes and would just keep going off on the whole dorm could hear it. I always slept through it, right? But my roommate, let's call her Jessica because I don't want to like oust her on stream. Jessica would always wake up for it and it would always piss her off, but she also wasn't super confrontational and she's like, I don't know whose room it is. I don't want to be a bitch like that. She's just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. One day it did wake me up. That takes some talent. But this one morning, her alarm woke me up. This girl down the hall. And I remember waking up just angry at everything, like blinding rage. And I had these steel-toed combat boots. So what I did was, kind of, actually, I remember pulling on my steel-toed combat boots. I didn't even zip them up. And I remember opening the door, stomping down the hall until I got to the room where the ringing was the loudest, and like kicked the door as hard as possible, like 4 or 5 times. And then the alarm turned off. And my roommate said that it never bothered her again. But I barely, like, she had to, because I would sleepwalk and like open my eyes and talk in my sleep so much, she wasn't sure if I was awake or not. So she watched me do this and then come back and then just lay back down in the bed, barely taking my shoes off. So the next morning when I finally woke up, she asked me if I remembered. I was like, oh, I thought that was a dream. And I felt really bad, but she felt very vindicated. She was like, yes, I no longer have to deal with this bullshit every morning. I can sleep past 7. So yeah. It does not happen very often. Art has had it happen to him once in the entire time we've known each other. I have apparently woken up like kind of sleepwalky, angry at him once. What happened was we had just gotten a Google Nest. So this was a couple of years ago. He did live, but he was afraid for his life for a moment. We had just gotten a Google Nest, and Art loves listening to the sounds of thunderstorms as he goes to bed. He loves it. He loves it more than anything. It's hilarious, but also infuriating because, like, I like listening to real thunderstorms, and sometimes he'll turn it up so loud that it'll go over a real thunderstorm that's happening outside. Anyway, so it was the very first night we had it. We had talked about it, and he was like, can we listen to the thunderstorms while we go to sleep? And I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. And he is a slightly lighter sleeper than I am, right? Still a bit of a heavy sleeper, but he will definitely wake up if, things happen. So I go to bed, and the thunderstorm sounds are going. And he's still awake for a little bit, but his computer was in the same room. He was just being quiet, so we're hanging out. I'm asleep. He comes to bed. He's starting to fall asleep. It's been like 15 minutes since he lay down. All of a sudden, apparently, I sat straight up in bed, looked at him. He said I looked like I was about to murder him and said, "Turn off the hangover machine." Apparently, that's what I called it. And he immediately turned it off. He was like, "I was so scared. I thought you were going to kill me right now." Like, he's like, "I've never been afraid of you, but I was afraid of you then." And then he turned it off, and I immediately went back to sleep, and I had no idea that happened. I woke up, and I was like, "Oh, I had to turn off the thunderstorms." He was a little upset at me about it. Yep. He barely made it out alive. Apparently, I have yelled at a lot of other bedmates to get out, though. Like, when Art and I were not dating and I was seeing some other people. I don't know what it... Apparently, my brain was just like, "It's loud. It's giving me a headache. Turn it off." But apparently... almost every other person I've ever had sleep over in college, at some point in the morning, I would wake up in quotations because I was still asleep, with my eyes open and scream at them to get out. And that's apparently very terrifying to have to wake up to when you're in a house you don't know. So, yeah. But I've never done that to Art. And that's how you know we work well together. My subconscious likes him. Yeah, I actually talked to a neurologist like briefly about it because my family, one of my dad's sisters, she used to wake up in the middle of the night and with her eyes open come out of... Yeah, see? There you go. I was just mad he was just making too much noise. But my dad's one of his sisters, she would wake up in the middle of the night, and she, while like her parents, my dad's parents were still up, she would come out of the bedroom, and she would start wandering around through the living room and into the kitchen, like opening drawers, and they'd go, oh, Sissy, I don't want to say her name on the street. So, "Oh, Sissy, what are you doing?" And she would say, "I'm looking for scissors. Where are the scissors? I need the scissors." Right? And her eyes would be open, so they thought she was awake, and they're like, "What do you need scissors for?" And that was all she would answer was just, "I need scissors. Where are the scissors? I need to find the scissors." Until she woke up. And she would do this, like, I think a couple times in the night. Or she would talk about who she had a crush on. And my dad, so they had 2 kids' rooms, they had 2 girls, 2 boys, and they shared their own rooms. So my dad was in the same room as his younger brother, and his 2 sisters were in their own room, and the rooms were divided. Child protection. She never actually took anything out. She never found them. She just kept saying that she needed them. But he could hear his sister talking in her sleep about who she liked and her crushes and stuff, and she would not say any names, but she just talked so much that at one point, because he could hear her through the wall, he got up, went into the girls' room, and just went, "Sissy, who do you like? Who is it?" Like, he could use it against her, like, the next day to make her maybe stop talking in her sleep so much, and she just, "I can't tell you. Yep. Apparently what I would do as a kid was was somehow worse than that, because what I would do when I was very young is I would just watch my parents sleep. I would be totally asleep. My eyes would be open, but like I wouldn't remember it the next day, so my parents figured out I was sleepwalking, mainly because of my aunt's history with sleepwalking that my dad remembered. But my mom says that there were a couple of times when she would wake up in the middle of the night, because she was a very light sleeper, and I would just be standing on her side of the bed, just looking over, just watching her sleep, and she would ask me questions like, Ginger, did you have a nightmare? What's going on? Why are you up? And I just wouldn't answer. I would not respond. She might be able to get like a nod out of me, and she'd like take me back to bed. Sometimes she would find me just sitting in the hallway between our bedrooms, because my bedroom was right across from my parents, and I would just be sitting at the end of the hallway, like staring forward into space, unresponsive, like refusing to answer. And I would have no memory of it at all. Like, I'm honest to God, like, that's the beginning of a horror movie. 9 times out of 10. Yep. 9 times out of 10 that happens, and then your kid is trying to murder you. My parents happened to be lucky, and I was that 1 out of 10 where it was like, nope, it's just rare, she just sleepwalks, it's just weird, guys. My grandfather, when he was really stressed, he would apparently play baseball in his sleep. He was a semi-professional baseball player for a period, and my grandma says that she remembers him sometimes when he was really stressed about like work or the kids or anything. It must be my, yep. But he would sit up in bed and he would start like just pitching a baseball in his sleep, and then he'd catch it, and then he would pitch it while he was talking about the thing that he was stressed about. So she could tell what he was stressed about, but she would get really pissed off because she'd be like, she would be like, Bob, which is not his name, Bob, it's the middle of the night, go to bed. Which is hilarious. Oh God, it is. I think that's the funniest one. I will still talk in my sleep sometimes, but I don't get up and like do things in my sleep anymore. It was only when I was very little. Although Art has said that when we used to have to kind of share a room, like with his computer and the bed, he said sometimes he would be up late playing video games, or he would wake up early and start playing, and it's not like he was loud. He was very polite. He stayed quiet so that I could sleep, even though I slept through most things. I wouldn't sleep through him like screaming. Sometimes he would like turn over to look at me, like to check on me to see if I was still asleep, and I would just be staring at him. Like I might be laying down, but my eyes would be open, or I'd be sitting straight up and my eyes would just be staring at him. And then as soon as like we made eye contact, I would close my eyes and I'd lay back down. Like I was like not trying to hide that I was watching him, but definitely like, oh, I have been noticed. I will go back to being a human being and sleeping. And it has only happened a couple times in one specific place that he lived, and I always got creeped out about the place that he lived because weird shit happened there at that time. So maybe I was almost possessed. Oh God, that's terrifying. Nah, I was probably just stressed. Everyone from my state we all just sleepwalk and are chanced at demonic possession. Oh, okay, you do talk in your sleep? See, it's so weird to me that happens. I don't remember any of the conversations I have in my sleep, just because, you know, I'm asleep. Yeah. It's just a little bit. The demon's hold is just feet. But apparently I would have full-on conversations like with my roommate, and my eyes would be open, and then she'd realize I was still asleep because I would just start giving her either the same answers or just one-word answers, like I had run out of things to say or something. Shit, can't remember now. Oh, but there is one case where I do remember what I said while I was almost asleep. I was like, I was falling asleep in an unfamiliar place, and this was when Art and I had first started going out. That's fair. But I had a cold, like I was really sick, and I was falling asleep on his couch, and I remember I was having like a weird dream, and I think Art was in it, and we were like trying to catch like a Pokemon or like a purple looking penguin. And I only remember that because Art tried to like wake me up to get me to go lay down like in the bed so I wouldn't be taking up the couch like and bothering his roommates. I do kind of remember saying, no, not now, we have to catch the penguin. And I only remember because his immediate reaction was, what did you just fucking say? We have to go catch what? And that's the only time I ever kind of remember what I said while I was asleep, and I was mortified. Because we had just started going out, and I was still in that phase of trying to be cool. I was like, no, now he thinks I'm a dork! Don't have any penguins here now. Yeah. I do have the weirdest dreams when I'm sick. Like those weird fever dreams, I have those. And they are not fun because you wake up and you don't know if it's real or not because half the time you're still sick, so you fall back asleep really fast and your subconscious is like, let's pick up where we left off. Chapter 2. But they're also kind of fun because sometimes I'll have a super realistic, vivid dream of like a place that doesn't exist, and I'll immediately like wake up and write it down. Do you not? Sometimes I have like weird story-like dreams where it's like either I'm watching a movie or I'm playing a video game or I'm reading a book, and then all of a sudden I'm experiencing what's happening, but at the same time I know that I'm just reading or watching it, and I'll go like back and forth. It's super weird. I don't dream very often, but when I do, they get fucking weird. And I've had some really weird, like, nightmarish type dreams that, like, when I wake up, I'm like, oh, that was so cool. And then I tell Art about it, and he's like, that sounds fucking terrifying. I have written some of them down. Maybe I will draw them and make them into short little horror comics someday. But they also don't always make sense. Yes. Another weird issue for me is that my dreams are usually very vivid, and I've never realized I was dreaming in a dream. Like, the closest I've ever gotten to lucid dreaming is I thought I had superpowers. And I thought that I just accepted that that was the world now. And that I could bend reality because that was my superpower. And I was just like, all right, I guess we just keep going with this. And so sometimes I would wake up, and it doesn't happen very often anymore, but sometimes I would wake up and I wouldn't be able to tell if what was real in the dream and what was real, like really happening, or what was a memory and what was a dream. So sometimes I'd have to like fact check with Art and be like, hey, this happened, right? And he'd be like, no, or he'd be like, yeah, this happened. Or I'd like have to look for other evidence. I'd be like, well, in the dream, I remember getting these text messages, and I'd look through my phone and be like, those text messages don't exist. All right, it was a dream. Or sometimes Art will talk to me about something, and I'm like, oh, that was real? And he's like, yeah, that was real, Ginger. It's not fun. It is not a good time. I do not recommend. 0 out of 10. I've also had someone try to tell me that you can't read in dreams, and I'm like, that's bullshit. I read in dreams all the fucking time, because I will have dreams where I try to send text messages, and I will like think out like what I'm writing, and I'll type it, and then I will get auto-corrected in my fucking dream. Like, it sucks. I will be sending a text message, and autocorrect will change things in my dream, and I will have to like. I remember having a dream where I fought basically with autocorrect, going like, no, that's not what I wanted to say. The penguins are coming. This is my nightmare. Penguins and autocorrect. Yeah. Turns out you can read in your dream, but usually you can only read like one sentence once, and then you look back and it's like a different sentence. Or it's just very rare that your brain's just like, hey, we can read this thing in a dream, and you're just like, all right. That's another thing is, if you're not sure if you're dreaming or not, you're supposed to look at a watch. And if you don't wear a watch, you're supposed to look at a clock. And then you're supposed to look at it again. And if the time changes drastically, then you're probably dreaming. Because your brain will do that. It'll just make, yeah. It's just a weird thing where your brain can't tell time while you're asleep. So it'll make up what the clock says. It's so weird. Dreams are so weird. It's literally your brain trying to trick itself into things. The subconscious is a weird place. The penguins are coming. I can only imagine the angry penguin from Adventure Time now. Gunther. Gunter? Is it Gunter or Gunther? No, one of them has an H. But that penguin. As like an angry penguin squawking. What sucks is that this is the first stream where I've told the most stories about Art and I, and he's not even here for it. I'm gonna make a highlight out of this specific stream and make him watch it. No, I won't make him watch it. I'll just be like, oh, there's one of the highlights I have. I talk about you a lot, and he'll have to find it. Ha 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 ha. Be evil like that. If I have weird dreams about penguins tonight, Spectre, I'm going to tell you about them. Expect it. If I don't have dreams about penguins tonight, you don't have to worry. I'm gonna make croquettes after this stream. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna be up so fucking late. I should make coffee. I have to clean my coffee maker. So many things I have to do. What's wrong with the emperor penguins? Are they evil? Is it just because they're big? Are they the ones with teeth? I've seen a picture of penguins like with their mouth open and they have like teeth tongues, and that is terrifying. You know what, that's fair. But the emperor penguin babies look so cute. Little baby penguins. I do like baby penguins. They're so fluffy. I have a picture of a baby penguin biting the flipper of another angry baby penguin, and it is the cutest thing I've ever seen. I have it saved to my phone. I look at it once in a while. You know, I imagine them bigger, but at the same time, that is about as much as I weigh. So that penguin is about the size of me, and I don't know, I could fight off a human the size of me. I don't know if I could fight off a wild animal the size of me. Like, that's the difference. A human reacts to pain a lot quicker and a lot more than a wild animal. Wild animals don't give a shit. Their life is pain. If I get into a fight with a person who is my size and I bite them and I break through skin, they're probably gonna let me go, right? If a cat that is my size attacks me and I bite it and I break skin, that cat's not gonna give a shit. That cat's just gonna try to claw on my face as I'm biting it with the other paw. It does depend on the animal. I think 100-pound gerbil. You know what? No, a gerbil's still pretty scary. You would think. I've been attacked by a dog before. It was not fun. I had to get stitches in my face. Do you want to hear that story? I may tell it to you even if you say no. My first reaction to most things if I'm in a dangerous situation is to immediately bite something. I have a different story about that where I bit a person. So when I was 16 or 17, my parents finally decided to get a dog. And they decided to get, yes, the nose is very sensitive. So if you hit something on the nose, they will usually let go. But you have to get to their nose first. And I know it's usually the part that sticks out the furthest, but you would be surprised at how hard it is to get when it is also the place that's closest to the teeth. So I was like 16 or 17, and my parents had decided to get a dog. They had both grown up with dogs. But yeah, that's fair. The only dogs I had been exposed to were like the dogs that my grandparents had, right? And they had like a huge collie that I grew up with. Yes, you use electric tape to close alligator mouths when you wrestle them. So they decided to get a rescue dog. Guess what rescue dog they got? They got a fully grown rescued Doberman. So let's just start off. Pit bulls are fine. I've been around a lot of pit bulls, and they are some of the sweetest dogs ever. A fully grown Doberman is scarier to me than a pit bull, because they are raised to be attack dogs. Like they're used by the police. Sometimes in some countries, it's a whole thing. But again, any dog, as long as it's in a loving home and raised well, yes, they can be very good dogs. This is a very good, obedient dog. The issue was, it saw my parents as the alphas, right? It saw my parents as in charge, and then it saw itself as in charge of my brother and I. And and it had never been in a home with children before. It had been in 3 different homes. The first 2 had like either neglected or abused it, and the third one she had just left him in a crate like all day, like a fully grown Doberman in like a tiny crate all day while she was at work, right? So this was a dog that did not like good spaces. Yeah, it was not an old dog. He was just fully grown. So we had him for a month and everything was going well. Thought it was going well. I was sitting on my parents' bed with my mom, like we were just watching TV in their room, as one does, and the dog was sitting like a little bit in between us, and we were petting the dog. It did not. We were petting the dog, and I leaned over to like lean my head on my mom's shoulder, right? Not an aggressive action, not a quick action. I didn't move towards the dog, and the dog didn't growl. It did not bark. It just immediately started to attack me, and it bit into my face. It almost gouged out my eye. I threw my arm up, and it almost snapped the bone in my arm just with its jaws. Yeah. So, and as soon as my mom got up and screamed at the dog, it stopped. Very obedient dog. Very good dog. So I'm gushing blood from my face, and I have to sit in the hospital. I sat in the hospital for 5 hours in the waiting room with blood gushing from my face because it had torn my lip, my top lip. Thankfully, he had not torn all the way through my top lip, because then they would have had to like do like a whole surgery thing. He just tore most of my top lip. Like it was connected by a little bit of skin at the bottom. And yeah, so I sat for 5 hours at the hospital, crying with an ice pack over my face, bleeding so much that like the ice pack quickly melted and then was kind of stuck to my face. So they had to rip that off. That fucking hurt. And then when they finally get me in to see the doctor, also I was one of 3 people in that waiting room. I don't know why it took 5 hours. But they finally get me in, and I'm sitting there, and this person comes up, and he's supposed to be like the resident physician, or he's the doctor. He's gonna stitch up my face. He's wearing ripped jeans and like a band t-shirt. I think there was a skull on it. And he did not have a lab coat. He did have an ID badge, but I did not get a chance to look at it considering my face was very swollen. I guess he was. He was very friendly. He was very nice. He was like, all right, I'm gonna put some of this numbing stuff on your lip. It's gonna hurt for a minute, and then I'm gonna put like a shot into your face. And then I'm gonna have to like stitch up your face. I only needed 1 stitch. But I remember thinking, like, as I'm crying, because like by now, like I'm not like sobbing, like there's no motion to it. My eyes just won't stop. I don't live in a small town. We live so close to Detroit. The doctors over there were terrible. I had a doctor try to put a needle in my cervix. Like it's not a small town. It's a shitty place. Anyway, so they get me all patched up, and we do have to take the dog back to the shelter. It was a no-kill shelter, so they were able to find him a home that didn't have any kids, and with an owner that had experience with aggressive dogs. But that was like the moment where in my mind, like I was like, maybe I can't go up against a wild animal. So I think I have a very good judge of like, could I take on this wild animal? Probably not. Could I take on a person? Yes. She got diagnosed with pregnancy. That is a bad doctor. So the thing that happened with my cervix, I have to have a copper IUD because I'm allergic to hormonal birth controls. Wow. Yeah, that's a bad doctor. So I'm allergic to female hormones, which some women are. It's rare. But so I have to, for birth control, I have to have a copper implant. And I also have a phobia of needles. So the doctor that I had at the time on the east side of the state, it is a complication. Believe it or not, almost all of the cures for women-based illnesses are like, why don't you take birth control? And it's like, well, I can't. And a lot of doctors have never heard of that allergy. So they try to make me take it anyway. It's a joy. Anyway, so This is the first time getting a copper implant. I'm 18. I'm scared of doctors. I'm scared of needles. I've only seen this doctor a couple times. It's bad. Yeah, you know? I would have preferred that to what happened, because she was like, all right, so I'm in like the bed. I've got my legs up. And she's like, so we're just going to put a numbing shot in your cervix. And if you've ever had sex before, if a girl screams and she says stop, it's because your penis has bruised her cervix. And that's the part that blocks everything. That's the part where it's just like, here's the tube where the dick goes in, and here's the end of the tube, right? And I'd had my cervix bruised. I was 18. I'd had sex. And so I definitely did not want a needle going in there. And I was like, no, I don't want that. She goes, well, we have to open your cervix. Yes, after dark. Art's not here. No more filters. She's like, well, we have to take the forceps and open your cervix to place the IUD. And I was like, okay, fine. Just do it. And she was like, okay. So what she does is she pries open my cervix, which is not supposed to open that far unless it's in childbirth. And of course, I scream because it's cold, it's metal, and it's painful. And she sits there and she goes, I'm not going to put it in until you stop screaming. And I screamed at her that she was going to put it in. And she very quickly put it in. And then she like closed me back up. And she was like, I'm so sorry, I forgot how painful it can be sometimes when we don't use the numbing shot. And I was like, yeah, I won't forget. and then later I go to a doctor on this side of the state, on the west side, and they have amazing doctors here, okay? I've had to go to the emergency room here a couple of times, and they get you in like super fast. I've had to wait in line here once, and that was during COVID. Like, they have amazing medical facilities over here. And I was talking to the doctor because I had an issue with that IUD, and I was like, hey, I don't want the numbing shot. And she goes, what are you talking about? I go, well, the shot you're gonna put in my cervix to numb it, I don't want it. I have a fear of needles. When they put my IUD in the first time, I refused it. I don't need it. And she looked at me like I was explaining medieval torture. She's like, she's like, none of my procedures involve putting anything sharp into or around your cervix. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Yep. Streaming after dark. No, they still use the copper one. They just don't recommend it because they can only make it down to a specific size. It's usually more painful, and the hormonal one has a higher chance of protecting you from pregnancy. So the hormonal one is flexible. It can be made much smaller because what matters is the hormone coating and the I think they put like there's some release in the plastic too, or rubber or whatever they use. And they'll put that in because the IUD is shaped in a T so that it can block the sperm from getting to the egg if you are ovulating. The copper is a natural I can't remember the exact word right now, but it's a natural spermicide. It's a natural, so anytime if you jerk off on a penny, your sperm is dead, most likely. Depends on how old the penny is. But the copper ones can only be made to a certain size. They have to be able to block it, and they're not flexible, and they can cause some discomfort and a little bit of pain. The good thing about the copper ones is they last 10 years. So you get one in and you don't have to worry about it for the next 10 years. And the thing about the copper IUD is if you somehow manage to get pregnant, which can happen, it's rare, but it can happen. When they pull it out, it disturbs unless I get the original doctor back. It's very rare for an IUD to fail, but if it does happen, when they pull out the copper IUD, it causes a miscarriage. Because another thing that the copper IUD will do is it touches each side of the uterine wall just enough to disturb it, so that if an egg does get fertilized somehow, it can't nest itself in the wall and start growing. What'll happen then is it'll nest itself in an ovary and cause like yeah, so like that's a whole thing, and that can kill you. But when if they pull it out, if you somehow get pregnant and they pull it out, it will cause a miscarriage. Kind of. The hormonal ones, it doesn't matter as much where the placement is. They still try to put it in the right spot, but it's kind of like they just shove it up in there and they're like, this is a thing that's inside you that will just stop you from getting pregnant all the time. Copper ones, they have to make sure it's placed correctly. Welcome to the channel. We're talking about birth control, alternative methods besides the pill. I do recommend IUDs if you're allergic to hormonal birth control. And even if you're not, because hormonal birth control can cause a lot of emotional problems and a lot of mental problems. Art still isn't here. Art is super great about all of this stuff because I have a very big fear of doctors just from my own past experiences. And he'll go in with me to all these doctor's visits up until they're like, all right, take off your clothes, we have to check inside of you. Then he'll like turn around or he'll step outside and be outside of the room. So he's usually pretty fine with all of these conversations. Just really, like sometimes he'll even ask, he'll be like, are you sure it's okay? Are you sure that like this isn't hurting you? He's like, is there, like once in a while in the news they'll be like, oh, there might be a new form of male birth control that won't cause any issues and doesn't require surgery. And he's like, I would take that. I would take that in a heartbeat. So he's really great about this stuff, which is really nice to have a partner like that. He gets a little squeamish when I talk about all the blood from my periods, but like that's just because he doesn't like blood and gore. I probably shouldn't talk about that on stream. Yes! Vasectomies are reversible, but the likelihood that you will be able to have kids after it's reversed is greatly lowered. Not the best choice. It is also apparently super painful. It's usually super painful. I've heard of cases where it's not, which is super weird, where they're like, it didn't fucking hurt at all. And I'm like, maybe your testicles were dead. But, yeah, no. Oh, I was gonna tell you guys a story about, when I bit one of my roommates. Do you guys want to hear that? It does not involve hormones. Yeah, chemical castration is not healthy or good at all. No, that's bad. I don't know. And it's also been shown to like be not a, because they use it for, in certain cases they used it for like repeat convicted like pedophiles and serial rapists, and it turns out that that didn't work. It just made them more frustrated and more likely to murder. So, there are no good options. It's almost like our bodies were built really well to be able to have kids. Oh, okay. I haven't heard it. I've heard that they've been working on it, but I haven't heard of like anything solid for men yet. And also like I would want Art, and I'd want any guy who is considering this to do a lot of research on it first, and to like maybe talk to multiple doctors about it, like a doctor that maybe specializes in birth control for men and women, and maybe a doctor like your general physician, and then maybe like a doctor who has recommended this medication before and can like talk to you about the benefits and the side effects. And then again, I would try it before having sex. Because that's another thing, is for all hormonal birth controls for women, you have to take it for at least a week before they say it's effective at all. And remember, kids, even if your significant other or sexual partner says they are on a birth control or a form of birth control, condoms are the only birth control that we know of so far that is effective at stopping STDs and STIs. And it's always good to double up. Yeah. That's another thing. They recommend doubling up on forms of birth control because it is a percentage. Because condoms are only, 97 to 99% effective. Like, okay, you have sex 100 times. Maybe you get lucky and those 3 don't count. It has been proven that abstinence-only education just leads to more teen pregnancies and a misunderstanding about our bodies. I did have a doctor when I was having my IUD put in, a different IUD put in, try to tell me, they were like, well, you could just not have sex. And I almost punched him. So, yeah, no. Maybe. My mom had a coworker who almost bragged to her about how often he had to take his teenage son to the doctor, and she was like, why is he going to the doctor so often? He goes, oh, well, last week he got this STD, and a couple months ago he got this STD, and she was like, what? She's like, haven't you taught him about STDs and like safe sex? And he was like, nope, you're learning the old-fashioned way, just like me. And she left that place of work very soon after that. That was not the reason she left, but she did leave very soon after that conversation. That terrifies me, because some of these STDs don't go away. And some of them will affect your brain. Your brain, guys. Maybe the dad had a undiagnosed case of syphilis and it was stuck, like it had eaten away part of his brain that was rational. So, what was it? I can't remember now. Oh, when I worked at that shitty pizza place that I like to talk about, because God, it sucked. I worked with a bunch of other college kids, but one of my coworkers was not a college kid, but he hung out with all of us, right? I think he was in like his 40s, I want to say. And this was like 5 years ago. So we were talking, and it was towards the end of close, and we were talking, and somehow STDs got brought up, right? And he would sometimes tell us about what it was like growing up in like the 80s and the 90s. Because we had been alive, but we were babies at that time, right? So he's talking to us, he's like, well, there was a guy on my block that I heard about, and I never saw, who apparently had genital warts. So he'd always wear a condom when he had sex, but the girls told me that they liked the feeling of it because of the weird bumps would like hit the right spots. And the 3 of us, because there's only 4 of us there, including myself, the rest of us just sat there looking at him like, do you have genital warts? Is that what you're subtly trying to tell us? Is that it's okay to have those because you have them? And we very quickly stopped talking about STDs. He was a very nice guy. We never had the courage to ask him if he had genital warts. Oh, but on to safer topics. I was going to tell you guys about the time I bit my roommate. So, I had multiple roommates in college, but this was my sophomore year of college. It is a safer topic because it was both on accident and on purpose. Okay? It was an instinctual reaction due to a situation I never thought I'd be in. Anyway, so I had 3 roommates. One of them was Jessica from the previous story. Yes, we liked being roommates so much that after we stopped living in the dorms, we decided to be apartment roommates. And then two of like her friends who became my friends through living together, and one of them we'll call Tripod, because that's what we called him when we all lived together. Actually, it is safer. It is not sexual. And the other one, because we had this weird nickname for him, we will call him Papa Bear. That was a nickname that I did not come up with, but it was a nickname we all used once in a while. Tripod and Papa Bear and Jessica. And so I had been living with them. I'd lived with Jessica for like a year already. But this was the first month. Actually, it was the first like 3 weeks I'd been living with Tripod and Papa Bear. And it was going great. We were all getting along pretty well. Now, Papa Bear and I, we were actually, all four of us were in this this on-campus like stage student theater group. That was how they met. I joined because Jessica joined. And I didn't have any other friends at the time because she was my roommate. And then I made friends. Crazy how college clubs work. Anyway, I think I made this thumb like too long. So Papa Bear was president of the club. I was like the posters person. I made posters for the shows to get people to show up. Which was an okay job. Anyway, so we had to go to these meetings, right? Like a council for like councils for clubs, they have to meet up. So we went to the first meeting for it, and we had just gotten back. So we were standing kind of in the front doorway, talking to Tripod, who was sitting on the couch because our apartment opened into the living room. And something happened, somebody made a joke, one thing led to another, and then very suddenly, I was in a headlock. Because Papa Bear was very kind of like a rough and tumble kind of guy. He was very sweet. I was never in any danger. He didn't even have his arm tight around my neck. It was just very much the sudden motion of being like straight, standing up straight, and then suddenly being like kind of bent over a little bit with my head really close to his chest and like his arm around my neck. And I just like had an instinctual reaction, and I just turned my head and I bit down into the first thing that was like next to my face. And it happened to be his nipple. So he, in his mind, was putting his new roommate into a friendly headlock as part of a joke, and immediately had his nipple, like right across it, just bitten into as hard as possible. And he immediately let me go. I apologized profusely for it, because he was like, ow, my fucking nipple, right? And then to give me shit about it for the next 6 months, every time he introduced me to a new person, or every time we had like a new member of the club that because he was a very charismatic guy, he could kind of just, he could get anyone to join anything by just talking to them. He would point to me and he'd go, be careful of her. She bites nipples. And then he would get to explain the story as I just sat there like tomato red, like mumbling like, I didn't mean to bite your fucking nipple, Papa Bear. Just a fucking taste. Yeah. That was what he called me. It was so weird. It was fun though. I mean, not that, but like it was fun being roommates with them though. It was definitely weird. See, that was a safer story. I should have started with that story. That's fair. It wasn't just a funny nickname in our house, it was a warning. I'm not super happy with how this hand looks, but I'm very happy with how this hand looks, and it took me a long time to get even kind of like okay with how this hand looks, and I don't want to fucking ruin it. So I'm just gonna let it be. But you know, I never got put into another headlock again. That's how I know. If I get attacked by a dog, probably gonna lose. I get attacked by a person, you just bite down. Just bite down really hard and they will usually let you go. Or you'll break skin and they'll have to let you go because you'll start chewing. I don't have many other stories relating to that involve fighting or reproductive systems. At least those are all of my mostly appropriate for the stream audience stories involving those topics. This is the hard part about doing an art stream. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what to talk about now, guys. I'm sorry. I'm concentrating, and I know that I should be talking and interacting and hanging out, and I want to. But my brain's just like, draw the lines. I do envy people who play video games for their streams a little bit, because you can kind of narrate what you're doing. And I guess I could kind of do that too, but a lot of what I'm doing is the same. I'm just drawing the same line over and over. Just draw this line and then draw this line. I am super tempted to like make her a cataar now. Or at least like flesh out the one that's in the corner. Oh god, we started at 7 and it's already been an hour. Wow, okay. Can't draw nipples on stream. Nipples are illegal. Oh, there was this really cool, like, kind of social experiment done by, I don't know if they were an artist, but I feel like they were. And you know what? This makes them an artist. They were transsexual, so they were transitioning from being male to female, and they had started taking the hormones for it, right? The hormone treatment. And that can and usually does make a male figure start to grow breasts. Kind of what it's supposed to do, like even without implants. So what they did was they took a picture of themselves every day after they started their hormone treatment, shirtless, right? And it was up to, and they did that every day, and they're like, I'm going to keep doing this until it's decided that this is the point. Like, when does a bare male chest start becoming too feminine to be allowed to be shirtless, and like is suddenly seen as pornographic, right? And I thought that was about a lot cooler and a lot more of a statement than just the free the nipple movement, where they're like, take off your shirts, because that was just kind of loud, and you didn't have to have a lot of thought behind it, which I guess is a little bit of the point. You shouldn't have to have this much thought behind it, like, but at the same time, I did like the more artistic installation and social aspect of, when does this start making you uncomfortable? Why does it make you uncomfortable? Because up until this point, you were fine with it, right? I thought it was really cool of them to do that, because they had a very unique ability to tell that in that way. I know they probably use the pronoun she now, but I don't know them personally, and I haven't caught up on their life, so maybe they decided they are no gender, and so they are a they. And you know what? That's neutral, so I'm just gonna respect that. I try to do that if I don't know someone's gender, or if it's not immediately obvious. I'll just use they, which seems to be okay with everyone concerned. And if they're really upset and think that I'm misgendering them because I use they out of respect, I don't think that might be a them problem a bit more. I think I made this side too spiky. Maybe that's a bit better? Maybe not? Maybe not. Okay. Try hard. Thanks for coming to say hi and hang out. I hope you had a good nap. You missed our talk about STDs and female forms of birth control, and the time I got attacked by a dog, and the time a doctor tried to put a needle in my cervix, and all of the stories about sleepwalking that I have, and the time that Papa Bear put me in a headlock and I bit his nipple, and you missed all the stories. Oh, we talked about you. Mostly good things. Yes. A about the time that I told you we had to like run from the penguin or catch the penguin. You missed a lot. It was fun, and now I've run out of stories. I don't know what to talk about now. Talked about how great you were about talking about being with me at the doctor's office. This is just basically last time on Gingersnap Draws, except it just happened, and we're only filling you in. Everyone else has been here. Someday I swear you guys are gonna hear like a loud like pop, like what just happened, and then a crash and a scream, and it's gonna be because my chair decided to break. It makes some awfully scary noises sometimes. I truly do not know what's going on with her bangs or why they look like this. I think when I was first creating this character and sketching her out, my brain was just like, I have forgotten how to draw bangs. How do they end? They just curl around themselves. Let's fix that a little bit. Oh yes, that's right. Art has a thing. I forgot. Art is playing Among Us with the people. I don't know how to fix her bangs. I don't know how to fix this mess that I've put myself into. Okay. Getting there. Getting there. I think I fixed it. Sometimes things just happen while you're drawing and you don't notice how bad they are until you're like almost done with it and you're like, oh no, what have I done? Okay. It's not the best, but it's like passable, right? No. Alright. You know what? Okay. There we go. I'm gonna rotate so they're like straight. Okay, cool. She wants you to do the magic game combo. Just like that t-shirt where it's the 2 joysticks over the nipples. You gotta do up, up, down, down, right, left, A, B, Y, up, Z, W. There we go. Yeah, I think it's just because they reversed the photo. I don't know why they do that for some things. I'm sure there's a reason. That I'm not a porn model on Instagram, so I don't know. Yes. No, I don't know. That's the important thing to ask when you start going out, if they're a Nintendo or an Xbox girl, and then you'll know what combos to use on her nipples. That's how you find out. I'm not a gamer girl. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I like to play video games. I do not play them with any skill or accuracy. I'd date a PlayStation girl. PlayStations are cool. And also, those controllers fit better in my hands. What if, like, in the next century, that's what the new, like, astrological signs essentially become, where they're like, were you an Xbox family? Or well, they still do that already, but you get what I mean. Where they well, PlayStation's not compatible with an Xbox, so you can only date within your console alignment. PC gamers would just be either told to pick a girl or pick a side. There we go. Pick a side, or people would love them because they'd be like, they can date anyone. I'm fucking up her hair in all kinds of ways. And it's not the sexy bedhead kind of way. What would be really awful is if she wore this shirt over to somebody's house and instead of, you know, plugging in their dick, they tried to plug in, like, their console. They were just like, where's the input cord? They poked her in the eye and they're like, connect to Bluetooth. It would be hilarious though. There is a comic where it like takes place in the far off future of like 23,000 and she happens to find a time machine and goes to like 27,000 and there are only robot cat girls rather than mutant cat girls because mutant cat girls fell out of style in the 2500s and somebody tries to like connect, they like see her shirt and they're like, oh, this must be the new controller model, and they try to plug her into their new console. I bet there's a hentai like that somewhere, and if there isn't, I could make it. Do you think cat girls lick themselves clean after sex? Like, which part of the cat ends and which part of the girl begins? These are the things to think about. I mean, how cat are they? Do they not like water? Do you have to specially breed your cat girl so she's one of the cat breeds that likes water so she'll actually shower? Or do you have to leave just enough human in her to make her like semi-hygienic to a human standard and not just lick herself clean all the time? They'd probably have to like still shower and everything, because if we're talking about anime cat girls and we're talking about a future where they are created and mutated mostly for sex, which is a very sad existence, I do not condone this, they can't have rough tongues because nobody wants to French kiss that. So they wouldn't be able to clean themselves with their tongue, so they have to shower. I just have to finish up like her hair and her tail. Cool. Oh no, the tiredness is setting in. Now I just want to go to bed. But I have to make croquettes after this. Delicious, delicious croquettes. Gotta hold out for them. Alright. Yeah, okay. There we go, that's a little bit better. Here we go. That looks better. Was it a minuscule change that almost no one else will notice? Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Now I think I do want to go back to doing the ink for these ones. Just because I haven't had a chance to get around to it in my own time. Unless, I don't think I have. No, I don't have any others of this model to do yet. Okay. Pierre? Thanks for following. Sorry for screaming. Yeah. Follow notification scares the shit out of me. Every fucking time. But thanks for the follow. I'm glad you liked the stream. Trying to get my heart to reach back. Hi, Dozman. It is really loud. Didn't scream this time. Oh, that's why. Son of a bitch. Talking about me in the other room. Scaring the shit out of me. But thank you for the follows, and I guess if you wanted to hear me scream, I guess you got that too. There you go. Hey guys, we're drawing anime cat girls. I'm really glad that I paused for a second before starting this line art, because it would have been really bad if I had started this and then suddenly that notification went off. Play Fever. I can't do that. It is copyrighted, and I don't own it. Can you imagine if you were a famous musician and you had a song like to the level of famous Freebird and you just came onto Twitch and you just decided to play it? Like, why not? Do you think Twitch would take it down, or do you think you could get a special case? Do I want this set to 5? I don't think I do. It's called Dragon Birth. Wow. That's hilarious though. I mean, you can't really blame Twitch because it's like an automatic thing, but it is hilarious. Maybe? I don't know. There is a new Beatles like episode documentary on I think it's on Disney Plus. I think that's what I watched it on. My grandmother's a huge Beatles fan, so we watched it over Thanksgiving and it was actually pretty great. Oh, fancy. You know a guy. Yes, it is directed by Peter Jackson. So it's in 3 episodes. I've seen the first 2 episodes. And we almost started a drinking game of Spot the Yoko because she would be in the background. I mean, yeah, he does, but they have footage that's never been released before of them actually playing and like rehearsing together. Oh, it was so cool. It was actually really cool to see. Yeah. I kind of want to watch it again because my family was around, so we were all kind of like talking a little bit while watching it and making comments, which is great fun. But I also want to watch it a little bit in earnest. How are you guys doing? I don't know. I know you guys are doing stuff, but how are you you doing, Dozman? And I don't know how to pronounce. Is it Nipri? Nipri? Tell me if I'm pronouncing it right or if I should call you something else. I'd call you M&M, like the candy, and not the rapper. Because it's an M and then an N. M and N. Now I just sound like a weirdo. Eyes are both the easiest and the hardest parts of an anime figure to draw because they have to be so fucking perfect. They are also just a bunch of lines. And I don't know. Like lining the eyes are both easy and really hard. Does that make sense? That's a lot of art. A lot of art is just backwards, no more sense bullshit. Okay, that's good. I don't know you very well, but Art knows you, so I trust you're a good person. He usually has good judgment. I have fucked up her eyes. Well, sometimes Art sees the best in people who don't deserve the best in him. Does that make sense? We have had some disagreements on previous people we've lived with. Which happens. I am much more cynical. I have a harder time getting along with people. I have been told I do not play well with others sometimes. Art can get along with just about anyone, and it's a little terrifying. Like, we will be somewhere, and he will be talking to people, and I will leave the room to, like, use the restroom or something, and I will come back, and he is, like, best friends with 3 new people. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he is so charismatic. And then he's like, no, I'm just a person. I just talk to them. I'm super boring, and I hate, and I suck at talking. And I suck at talking to people. Yep. You know what? That's fair. But yes. Like, sometimes Art is super great and he finds the best people because he finds the best in people. But sometimes he finds the best in people and then they suck. Aww. That's fair. I think we have to get him another Xbox controller soon, because he goes through controllers like they're nothing. I have no idea how he does it. I swear, sometimes it's like 2 weeks after we get him a controller, he's just like, ah. And it's not even that he treats them poorly, he treats them really nice. He just plays a lot of games and he uses the controllers. But how are you doing, Dozman? How have things been treating you? Living the dream? Ah, yes, I understand. Does your dream involve penguins? That's been the theme of today's stream. Weird subconscious things that you do in dreams involving penguins. They're either usually trying to escape or attack you. So be aware of the penguins. Oh god, it's already 9 o'clock. It really feels like I've only been on here for like 30 minutes. They are! They're just trying so hard. And the best part, when they fall over, they just slide and they're just like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. I guess I'm going faster now. That is really cute. I love when penguins are just subtly evil. Like I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I have a picture of like a baby penguin with its flippers out, like holding them out, kind of airplane. And then next to it is another baby penguin just about to like close its beak around the flipper of that first baby penguin. And the other baby penguin has no idea, and it's just so cute. Oh, it's so cute. I love that picture. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. It's really nice of you, and thank you for the follows. I know I've probably said that 4 times by now, but I do really appreciate it. It's the late night streams. Things might get weird. I do not like how that is happening with her bangs. Nope. I'm gonna do it like this. Does that work? Nope. Alright. What I do miss is from that like weird early 2000s like toon paint, you'd hit the undo button and it would give you like different people saying like uh-oh or oh no or oopsie and like different inflections. Oh, it was great. I would purposely do a bunch of weird things and then just click that button until it wouldn't let me do it anymore as a kid. Abuse the undo button for your own gain. You notice with a lot of anime hair bangs, they don't connect at the top. Should. They usually don't. Let's talk about the very serious topic of anime hair vents. Anime girls used to have hair vents as triangles on top of their head, and that was to allow air to get to their brain so that they could make rational decisions to forward the plot. For many decades now, we have stopped drawing anime girls with their hair vents. I believe this has led to an influx of the animes where the girls are overly clumsy and make strange, rash, and irrational decisions, such as trying to date the main character when he is obviously an asshole. And these decisions would not have been made if we had simply allowed them to ventilate their large anime brains. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But as you'll notice, I did not draw her with any hair vents. She has catgirl ears. I trust that they will work in the same way. I'm trying to draw her with like slightly bigger eyebrows though. Is my cat girl your waifu now? She could be your waifu. She doesn't have a name yet though. Name your waifu, Dozman. Her colors are pink and white and black. And sometimes pastel purple. How are those eyebrows? I don't like this one. Okay. That's looking okay. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick pause here for just a sec. Be right back. Okay. It's really hot in the house. I turned the heat down a little bit. You won the slice game. What does that mean? Did you chop each other up slowly into like tiny slices? Are you slicing deli meat as fast as possible? What does it mean? I believe that 100%. You guys want to hear about the time? Oh, it's a trivia game. Okay. Art stole a game from me. I was so close to winning. It was this weird game that we were playing where you had to you had to like, it was kind of weirdly set in almost like a medieval town, and you had to kind of earn coins by doing quests through cards, but it was also a board game, and you had to have a shop, and sometimes you could earn cards through the shop. It was super weird. But so we're playing this game, somebody else's house, and I'm not bothering with the economics of the game. I am just doing quest after quest after quest. But to do certain quests, you have to get certain like pawns, and there's only a certain number of them available, and they're at the certain stores and markets. And I was so close, and I had a plan, and I was like, if I complete this quest, I can get this pawn, and if I then complete this quest, and then I will have the most amount of money in the game, and I will win, because we were so close to the end. And then Art stole that one last pawn I needed. I was so close. Like, he could see my plan, and he didn't even need it. He didn't even need it. He didn't need it, and he was just like, I don't know, I'll just collect a pawn on this turn, I guess. And I was like, no! And I came in third. I almost came in first, and I came in third. And this is the last board game I've ever played with Art. Defeat him. At Thanksgiving, he won literally every game we played, including like the random guessing games that my grandma would do. He won bar dice even. You did not need this face. You could have just let me win. I was so close. I've drawn too many cat girls. I started getting her hair confused with the other hair and on the other cat girl, and I was like, oh no, did I do the wrong line art? Almost as bad as drawing on the wrong layer. I think cat girls were developed and like from regular people. They were a mutation that was intentional, an intentional gene mutation. There we go. Those are the words. And e-girls are totally different. I think cat girls are the real thing. They're very expensive to buy. E-girls are essentially human girls pretending to be cat girls. That's in my brain where it sits. If we're talking socially evolved. You know what? I can't fucking talk tonight. I'm really fucking tired. I think they came from like the same root, but they branched off from each other very quickly. That makes sense? So like if, give me a sec. Let's say this is like the root and it's the internet. Internet, porn. And that's just hentai. I was like, internet, porn, anime. That's just hentai. Okay. And I represented by this bubble. Okay. And from there, we have various different subspecies. Women over porn, sure. And cat girls are a little, I do agree that cat girls are better than e-girls, but mostly because cat girls don't quite exist. But hi, Ventus. And I think this would be like a cat girl. This is like Western hentai. And then these are e-girls. These just look like swirls. But I promise that that's an E and that's a W and that's a C. How are you doing, Ventus? Thanks for coming to hang out. How were your errands today? My day has mostly just been streaming. I took a break in between to eat food and to like set up the croquettes I'm gonna make tonight. Oh, I'm so excited. If you don't know what croquettes are, I make the Japanese croquettes and they're literally just like meat and potato and whatever spices you want, and you make them into a ball or like a small patty, and then you cover them in egg and flour and breadcrumbs and you deep fry them, and they are so good. I'm very excited to eat them tonight. gonna make cat girls tonight. This is the after dark stream because it's winter, so it gets dark out at like 5 p.m. and we start at 7. And in the darkness, we draw cat girls. I did real art this morning. I'm doing good, Absorcio. How are you doing? Only the realist of Yes. We still haven't named our new cat girl waifu. God, I can't believe I just said that. I said that with my mouth. I'm not liking how this. And I've totally forgotten to start recording. I also try to make speed paints. It doesn't always work out. Neighbor Among Us. Vomit in Among Us. Bye, Dozman. Thanks for hanging out. I don't know, Absorcio, if you are vomiting or if you want to name her Vomit. I think that's really mean to name a cat girl Vomit. Because she is still a person, okay? That would be cool. I'm streaming until 10. We could look up the French word for vomit, and then we could name her that, and it'll sound fancy, but it'll just be the French word for vomit. Yeah. I feel like romantic languages take way more advantage of the fact that they sound nicer than others, and they'll just name things like ridiculous shit. Like potato in French, I can't pronounce the word, but I know it directly translates to dirt apple. And a potato is much more than a dirt apple. It's amazing. It's one of the best ingredients in the world. Welcome to the Hobbit stream where we talk about potatoes. This line art is not going well for me. Potatoes are very important. I have 3 bags of potatoes in my kitchen right now. 15 pounds of potatoes. I don't know how Art's gonna eat all of it, but he's gonna. Not too many potatoes. No, I refuse. There is no such thing as too many potatoes. Art can cook. I'm the one who does most of the cooking because I am the pickiest eater. So what usually happens is like I will cook because I know the recipes that I will eat, and Art will eat just about anything. When Art cooks, it is very delicious. He just likes to put things in it that I don't like and that will make me vomit. But he can cook some like amazing burgers. Oh, he makes amazing burgers. And avocado salsa. And guacamole. I know a lot of that is just chopping ingredients, but he does it so well. I am one of those. There are not a lot, like there are things I don't like, but if someone will make it for me, I will eat it. Like I once ate liver, like an entire cow's liver by myself because someone made it for me and it tasted disgusting. Okay, it wasn't the taste. The taste was fine. The texture was disgusting and I hated it and it made me want to die, but I ate it. But things like, she was an old Romanian woman. She was very nice. She was my high school boyfriend's mom. And I had dinner there. And she was like, you don't have to eat it. I was like, I'm eating it. So I ate it. Also, there was nothing else with that. It was just the liver. They're like, there's liver. And then for dessert, we have fruit. And I was like, there's no potato. There's no pasta. There's no carbs for the side. They're like, no, just meat. And I did it. Okay? I ate it. but I won't eat things like cauliflower or beans because as soon as I will throw up. The beans, it's mainly like a texture thing. I can't even like look at them. When Art puts beans on his nachos, I just couldn't. I can't do beans. Beans, like beans. Beets, I've never tried beets, but I don't want to. But if somebody made me something that had beets in it, I would eat it. That's fine. I'll be very weird. But I'll eat food that I like. Like that's, I won't lie to someone and tell them I like, okay, I will lie. And tell someone that their food was good even if it wasn't, because that's just mean. If I'm never gonna see them again, I'm not gonna have their last memory of me being mean. Oh yeah, doesn't it make you poop and pee red, right? So some people go to the hospital thinking that they're bleeding internally, and the doctors are like, no, you just ate beets. Okay. To be fair, for a girl, blood coming out when you pee is not an unusual thing. So I feel like a girl's first reaction isn't usually, oh, I'm dying. Look, if I use the restroom and I wipe and there's blood, my first reaction is not to freak out. It's usually just, oh, that's not the time it's usually supposed to be here at. All right. Or maybe it is, and I'm like, oh, yep. It's shown up. That's the thing I don't quite understand, because I've met women who are like, oh, I will faint at the single sight of blood. Like, I had a teacher in grade school, and this was like before sexual education, but I had a lot of questions. This is not off the rails. You should have been here earlier. We talked about a lot of things. But I had a teacher in grade school. She taught us Spanish. She was a very fun, sweet, charismatic lady, but she told us that she couldn't stand the sight of blood. She said that like she nicked her finger once while she was cutting like vegetables and a drop of blood came out and she fainted. I accepted that as a child. Like as a child I was like, oh yes, I've seen on TV that there are people who are afraid of blood. After I took sex ed and, started menstruating, I had a lot of questions. How are there women who will faint at the sight of blood? Because we have to deal with blood every month. Sometimes we deal with a lot of blood every month. Like, how do you take out a tampon and just collapse? I can understand a guy. You guys don't deal with it all the time. If a guy came up to me and was like, I'm terrified of blood, I'd be like, okay. Yeah, she said that, because I vividly remember the story because she acted it out for us. She halted our Spanish class to act out this story for us about how she was like about to faint and one of her sons came in the room and he was able to like help her clean it up and get her a Band-Aid. But I'm just so... I will never judge anyone for their fears, but I will ask a question of a woman who tells me that she can't stand the sight of blood. I will just want to know, because I've only ever met one. It was just that one teacher. I've never met another person who freaks out at the sight of blood unless they're a guy. And for a guy, it makes sense to me. If a guy came up to me and they were like, I have a phobia of blood. And they're like, if I see a single drop of it, I'll faint. Or if I nick myself and I get a paper cut and I start bleeding, I'll freak out. I'll be like, all right, yeah, that makes sense for you. You don't deal with it all the time. For you, if you see blood, it's usually an emergency. And that's my feeling on blood phobias. Welcome to the stream. What is something that I think is really funny? This is also pertaining to blood for anyone who's queasy. Something that they don't show in cop shows. Huh? Yeah, like it doesn't. Most stuff doesn't bother me too much. A little, like if I've just woken up, like the smell of vomit will get to me, or like if I have to, because I've pet sit before, and if the pet will like vomit and it's still warm, then part of my brain will freak out. But anything else, like I've cleaned up my own vomit, I've had to clean up Art's vomit, I've cleaned up my roommate's vomit, my friend's vomit, like I've cleaned up things. But something that you don't see in cop shows is that when they get an arrest warrant, if they get a warrant to search a house for like fluids or blood splatter, they usually have a clause in there that's like, please ignore any splatters or large stains in one grouping on like the seats of couches or cushions or in the restroom, because menstrual blood, it gets places, guys. It gets like everywhere. Every couch you have probably sat on, if it isn't bright white, it's probably had menstrual blood on it at some point. And I didn't know that because that's not pertinent information to my life, but I learned about it a couple of years ago, and I thought that was actually kind of cool and funny. This is what I enjoy. I just feel like the line art is just not going well for me right now, and I'm not super happy with how it is looking at all. Women are pretty gross. To be fair, human beings are pretty gross. We're all gross, all around. I don't like how any of this has been going. Like I did well on the face and then it just went downhill from there with the hair. So we're just gonna get rid of it all. Well, apparently that's as far as the undo button goes. So we'll get rid of it now here. I'm gonna stop drawing cat girls for a hot sec. Because you know what? We have like just less than 30 minutes left in the stream. I'm not happy with how this line art has been going. We're gonna go back. Oh, that's not what I wanted to work on. I wanted to work on this. I was working on this earlier today. And it was coming on along pretty well. And I didn't really want to stop, but the stream ended and I was tired and hungry. So let's just keep this one going. What have you been doing to help with that? Do you have any questions? No? Oh, okay. I talked to someone earlier today on the morning stream, and recommended Mark Crilly's videos. He's really good. He has really good, I mean, yeah, basically everything I draw I hate. You're gonna hate a lot of your own stuff all the time for forever. Look at this. Look at this. There are parts about this I hate. Especially her hair. It's just not. I just can't get it to do the thing that I want. I mean, look at this artist. He skipped out on drawing a foot. He just put this random person there. She doesn't belong there. Who is she talking to? She's not even fully, like, formed. It was to cover up this foot. And he's only drawn feet, the one... Everyone hates what they draw. But tutorial videos are really good, or tutorial books. That's how I learned a lot of how to draw, was through reading like how to draw books. But Mark Crilly has a lot of really good videos on YouTube. And he will break down things like in matters of style. He'll do pop culture characters and show you how to do them step by step. He'll do figure drawing. He'll do realistic. He'll do anime. He'll do Western-based cartoons. He kind of covers all the bases, and it's actually pretty cool. If you remind me and you want it, I can send you the link to his channel later. But if you look up Mark Crilly, it's like MarkCrilley. That'll also work. Or you can come hang out and you can ask me questions and I will answer them. I've actually taught people how to draw before, which was a weird but like kind of fulfilling experience. I mean, I'm probably gonna spend my whole life drawing, so I might as well show other people how to do it too. I mean, you can ask Art. I hate almost everything I ever do. He'll come over and he'll be like, "Oh, this is looking great. I like this, this, this," and I'm like, "I hate it. I hate this, 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 and this about it." And he's like, "Oh, okay, but it's still good." And then sometimes I'll restart it. But that's okay. Usually when you hate a lot of your work and you feel like you're stuck in a rut, it means that you are in the process of growing and that you're in a transition phase. And unfortunately, you go through a lot of those at the beginning because you're learning and you're learning everything and everything is new. That's okay. Just gave out all of this wonderful advice, sage-like. Yes. But it's recorded, and I will make a highlights reel of these streams someday. I will do it. And then the 2 clips I have in my channel won't just be me making Naruto signs. Oh, you heard it? Oh, okay. Hooray! I should still make a highlight reel and more clips. Yeah, I think I just can't do line art on stream. Line art takes a lot of concentration, and it's really hard to like go back and forth between chat and line art and chat and line art, so. Sometimes I have very long lulls because I just don't know what to talk about, and people just want to hang out and either watch or lurk or listen to the chill music. That's cool too. Sometimes I run out of stories to tell. Sometimes the stories I tell are terrible and leave people in stunned silence. This is not the first time I've talked about menstruation on today's stream. It was all within context. I did not just bring up periods for no reason. I jinxed it. I caused the lull by talking about it. I brought this upon myself. Yep. Yeah, this isn't looking too bad. Okay. Oh, you've been introducing your. Ooh, what was the aha moment? What was the aha moment? You must tell me. So curious. I need to know. Oh, Palpatine. So does that mean you guys are watching the prequels? And she was like, aha! It's him! Ah, yes, yes. Nice. Nice. I've watched Star Wars since I was a baby. My dad is a huge nerd. And he would put it on to watch while I would sit, like, in my little crib. Okay, so you watched 4 through 6, and then tonight you're watching... Okay, so you're doing, Like, kind of like order of release. Okay. I do hear that if you're watching Star Wars for the first time as an adult, it is usually best to watch them in order of release. If you're watching Star Wars as a kid, it's usually best to watch them in order of timeline, just because that can get a little confusing. Are you also gonna ever watch Clone Wars? The, like, cartoon series? Yeah, I remember because my dad had me watching like 4 through 6 for forever, and then I think that when the prequels came out, I can't remember when they came out, but I think I was no, they came out before I was born. Okay, I had to think about it for a minute. Okay. Yeah, because the prequels came out when, in like the early 90s. I was born in 97. I'm 24. So I'm not 100% sure when the prequels came out. I just remember watching them when I was very young and being very confused. I'm an adult. I'm not that young. Are you gonna ever then watch the sequel series? The ones that came out just recently? That are technically now in an alternate universe because they did so bad? That's fair. I do think that, like, the costumes and the sets and, you know, some of the work on it was really cool, especially since it was, like, Carrie Fisher's, like, her last, I think, kind of known big role before she passed, so it is kind of important. Ooh. She's attached. She's dedicated. You've gotten her. You did it. Congratulations. The Clone Wars was great. I'm really glad that I got to see that, like, as it came out as a kid on Cartoon Network, because I would watch that with my grandfather and my brother. And my dad a little bit, but he was usually a little too busy, so he would watch it, like, after we went to bed when he had more time. I remember when the movie came out, and my brother lost his mind over it. I had to watch it, like, 10 times a day for almost an entire summer. And then he found out they were releasing a cartoon for it, and he lost his mind. Because he was, like, I want to say he was, like, 5 or 6, maybe? Maybe a little older, maybe a little younger. Oh yeah, it is on Disney Plus. I totally forgot about that. I should rewatch it. Because it has been a very long time. sometimes I don't realize I've been sitting in a weird position for a long time until I try to get out of it, and then parts of my bones hurt. Like my ankle. Apparently I was sitting on it at a weird angle until just a second ago. It is punishing me for it. Hey, Gecko! Yeah, that's probably it. Not my bones. I like those. I want to keep them for a while. How you doing, Gecko? How's your weekend been going so far? How's your night? I think you said you work on Saturday nights? It is still Saturday, right? It is, yes. Okay. Is it bad that I started the stream at 7 and I was like, oh, I'm so tired? Honestly, Art laid down to take a nap at like 5, and I almost laid down to take a nap too. But I knew I would not wake up for the stream if I did. And I wasn't that tired. Now I am. Yeah. Tired because of lack of sun and working on material for the game. Oh, is that the role-playing game we're gonna do? Yes. Oh, that always sucks. I really liked working third shift, but after a while I did realize that, like, I do need a certain amount of vitamin D to survive. I don't need a lot because I'm real pale, but I do need more than I get being completely nocturnal. I don't know what version they decided on. I think him and Art said that we were gonna play 3.5 for Dungeons and Dragons. I've not had any updates on it in a little bit. So I trust Gecko and Art have been talking about it and will inform me when I need to show up. That's about how my schedule goes. What are you doing in 2 days? I don't know. Is it mandatory? No, and I'm probably not doing it. That's how my things have been for a little while. Just because my schedule is usually so hectic and busy. Okay. Okay. That'll be cool. I have never played either of those, but I am excited to try. Oh, did that fall through? Was scheduling an issue? I guess scheduling is usually the issue. Ah, okay. That's fair. It is the holidays, and it is the end of the year, and things usually pick up around then, so it's gonna get busy. That's fair. Building the scenario is hard. I have never had to DM or GM or do any of like that. I've seen Art do it, and he's very good. But he puts so much time and effort into it. He makes it another job. And I'm like, sweetie, stop. I can't, yeah. I also need to like actually start putting out speed paints again, I think. Well, there you go. The only complaint I would have when Art would DM was the amount of time he would spend on it, like after he plays. Art is one of those D&D players who will play so much that it literally kind of absorbs a lot of their life, to a point where he will spend like 20 hours a week working on his character, planning out what he can do, and like, yes, exactly. And it's so cool to see someone so passionate and so into it, but at the same time, I'm like, sweetie, your health. You've gotten 3 hours of sleep for the past 2 days. You need to either finish this or like take a break. And that's just when he's a player sometimes. And then he's like, why am I so tired? Why am I so busy? And I'm like, because you make yourself a little busy and a little tired. Yeah. Yeah. But he will come up with contingency plans for things like that. Like he's very good at strategizing. It's unfair how good he is at strategizing and how good he is at games. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I went vicariously through him because I could never hope to get to his level strategically in any game. And it's really impressive. I am truly amazed. And so when somebody does beat him, we have like a tiny he does not. I have a tiny celebration about it because I'm like, oh my god, he's still human. It happened. Ah! But yes. He'll come up with contingency plans. He'll come up with like varying story arcs. It's super cool. He has come up with some of the coolest puzzles for like when he was DM for some of the campaigns I'm in that I can't even fully explain well. And he remembers them like they're nothing, and he's just like, no, this is easy. This is what you do if you're a DM. I'm like, I've heard stories from other DMs, and I don't think they all do this. I don't think they're all as good as you, but I might be a little biased, which is probably a good thing. Just a little bit. I am a little bit. It's fair, but like, I am trying a little bit to convince my mom that he might be an alien. Because Art does some things that are pretty cool. Like, he has an amazing rate of speed for reading. He's reading at a college level in like the 1st or 2nd grade. He can unhinge his jaw. He can unhinge his jaw to like, and he eats super fast, insanely fast. And he has almost a photographic memory. I can't remember what it's called, but he has one of those memories that he can before he started having memory problems because of the hypercalcemia, he had a memory where he could remember anything he was told, which was really cool. And I didn't realize I was doing this until Art pointed it out, but I'll tell my mom about these things because like when we first started going out, she's like, well, what's he like? And I started telling her about it. And he's like, your mom's gonna think I'm an alien. And now I'm like, oh yes, she is. I'm gonna do it on purpose. Then he gets a little grumpy at me about it. Like, I don't want her to think I'm weird. I like you because you're weird. It's okay. He is kind of weird, but he's our weird, yes. Another thing that is also very weird that a lot of people have pointed out to us that we kind of knew, but a lot of people pointed out to us still sometimes, is that Art and I are complete opposites. We're opposites usually in taste of food, in what we like to watch, in how we spend our time, in just how we act and how we think. Like, we're to a point where it's almost comical. But we communicate really, really well. and we're very happy. Like, we take all of our differences and our opposites and we complement each other really well because we communicate so much. And I think that's super cool and really great, and it makes me very happy. I should probably stop talking about this kind of stuff. It might be a little too gooey. How dare. I have no emotions. I keep all my emotions right here, and then one day I'll die. Which is terrible, but a little true. Pretty much. The people who know me really well, I will emote in front of, and they can tell when I feel things. Like, for the longest time, I thought I had the most readable face ever because my parents could tell exactly what I was thinking by my face. And then I went into, like, college and into the workforce, and they're like, why do you always look so angry? You look angry all the time. Why do you look angry? Are you upset? Why were you mean to this person? I was like, I wasn't, and I didn't, and I'm not. That's just my face. I was like, no, I was really happy. I was just thinking about something that made me happy. They're like, you look like you wanted to break something. It's like, no, that's just my face. But then I'm like, oh no, I'm like a brick wall then. And then I'll meet people who can read my face exactly. And I'm like, I don't know what I am. I guess I'm just in between. Certain people can read me like a book, and then the rest of the world thinks that I'm just angry. Which, to be fair, I'm usually hungry, so I'm usually a little grumpy. Oh, I'm just realizing now that it is 10:04. We have gone over our allotted time. Thank you for playing. No, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Xorcio, Yakko. I'm going through. Spectre, Tryhard, Dozeman, Eminem, or Nipri. Yep, there we go. And Ventus. And I'm trying to remember everyone. Yep, I got all you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and for talking in chat and keeping me company while I draw. Thank you for everyone who showed up. Thank you for the follows. And yeah, it looks like I'm gonna raid somebody now if you want to stick around for that. See who is streaming right now. It looks like Boj is still doing his 24-hour charity stream. So let's go ahead and raid him. You have a good night too, Absorcio. Thanks again. Bye!